NetCredit is here to say yes, because you're more than a credit score. Apply in minutes and get a decision as soon as the same day. Loans offered by NetCredit or lending partner banks and serviced by NetCredit. Application subject to review and approval. Learn more at netcredit.com/partners. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
I saw a light above my bed that shot down, bounced off the wall, and went straight underneath the bed and lit up underneath my bed. I mean, this was kind of wild.
Welcome to Tell Me a Ghost Story, the late night call-in podcast where we delve into the world of the supernatural and explore the eerie and unexplained. I'm your host, Michelle Newman. This podcast features true stories from our callers that will send shivers down your spine and leave you questioning the existence of the afterlife. So grab a cozy blanket, turn down the lights.
Hello, Michelle. I am calling because I had a ghost experience, at least I think I did, about 20 years ago. I was living in Seattle, and I was in a pub in the, just off the Ave, which is the University Way, which is in the University District near University of Washington. I'd gone down there, I was waiting to meet some friends, and I was sitting up at the bar having a beer, and there's kind of like a U-shaped space. There was an area where there was a lot of seating. There was a bar. And then there was this area where all the chairs had been put up on the tables, the lights were off, and there was a big fireplace. Anyway, so I'm sitting there and I see somebody standing in this dark area. And so I turned my head and I whipped it around to look, why, that's odd. Why is somebody just hanging out there? And then they were gone. And the bartender noticed that I did that and said, "Hey, what happened? What'd you see?" And I said, "I swear I could have seen somebody just sitting there just right now, and now they're gone. It's so weird." And he says, "You saw the ghost." Apparently the story is that a fisherman named Howard was murdered in that hotel, and his ghost sticks around and shows up every once in a while to people. I guess a little aside could be that I used to be a fisher person myself. I fished for salmon up in Alaska, and I fished for tuna, pelagic tuna, way out in the middle of the ocean, about halfway between Los Angeles and Honolulu. And so, maybe just kind of picked up on that vibe. Anyway, that's about all for that story, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you for your story, Sonja. Let's pour one out for the College Inn pub. I've been there myself. Wooden booths, graffiti in the bathroom, trivia murmurings in the background. It's cozy, haunted, and full of stories. The building itself was built in 1909. Upstairs, a bed and breakfast. On the ground floor, a cafe and market. But down below, in the dark, is where things get interesting. The pub is said to be haunted by the ghost of Howard Bach, a sailor who checked into the inn long ago and never checked out. According to the legend, he was murdered there. His spirit is said to linger, especially after closing time. Some claim he used to play the piano that once sat in the room, a piano that was eventually destroyed by a burst pipe and removed. And yet, people still say they hear a note or two drifting through the dark after hours. Unfortunately, I've heard that after June 15th, 2025, the College Inn pub will close its doors for good. So wherever you're listening from, raise a glass for Howard, for every student, professor, or poet who carved their names in the booth and called this haunted little bar home.
Hi, Michelle. This is Khyelle from Los Angeles, California, and I have a ghost story for you. So, some years back, I was taking care of my dad. Sadly, he was ill. He got really ill and he died. And I went home to my mother's house that night. Like the whole family kind of got together and we were all kind of just sad and grieving. And so because of that, I was like sleeping in my mom's living room and I was laying on the ground and I thought I saw someone walk by really quickly. And it was like a tall figure with a white t-shirt. That's all I saw. And so I kind of got jumpy and I was like, oh, I'm seeing things. And then I looked up again and within probably like 5 minutes after that, I saw basically like I don't know if it would be, it's like, it kind of looked like an apparition of my dad. And I literally yelped, like I screamed loud as hell. And my mom came running into the living room and she was like, what's wrong? What's going on? And I was like, did you see somebody in the house? And she was like, because I couldn't really make out his face, but my dad had like very long dreadlocks. So I could see like his silhouette. So my mom comes in and she's like, what's wrong? I was like, did you see someone come in the house? And she said, no. And so we like slowly creeped through the house as quietly as we could because I thought it was an intruder at first. That's how like clear it was to me. And we saw no one. And then I thought about it. I'm like, oh my God, that's so weird. I was like, I think my mom goes, do you think that was your dad? And I was like, oh, I think it was. And what's so weird about it is that same night, my dad's wife told me that her kids felt someone squeeze their foot at the end of the bed. And it's so funny because that's something that my dad used to do. Like if your foot was like hanging off the couch or something, he would walk by and like squeeze it. So the same exact night they had an interaction with him. So I thought that was just so strange and just kind of like a testament to what I believe, which is like when somebody dies, their energy kind of becomes boundless and they can be, you know, in many places at the same time. And it definitely lives on. And I do think that like people who pass, especially immediately after they pass, like there's like a window, at least in my experience, where they kind of like come back and visit or try to like show you signs that they're still there and still alive, or their energy is still alive.
Thank you, Khyelle, for sharing about your father. I believe that too. Some people leave this world, but they don't leave us. And I've heard so many stories on this show about spirits who linger, not out of fear, but out of love, out of duty, out of a bond that's too strong to break. And when I hear those stories, I think of the people I've lost and how some energy just doesn't fade. It shifts, and they stay with us in the places we shared and in the corners we forget to look.
Hi, I'm Evelyn, and I'm from Fremont, Michigan. I was about 8 years old, and I was playing Ghosts in the Graveyard with my friends outside. As we were playing, I heard a weird noise coming from the slide. So I went over there. You know, I was a kid, and I was looking, and I didn't see anything, so a couple days later, I was back there, and I heard the noise again. It was more like a voice this time, So I went over to it, and I could have sworn that I saw my friend who had been dead for over 2 years at the time. I screamed and I ran away as fast as I could. I ran to my friends and I was telling them. They didn't believe me. She loved playing Ghost in the Graveyard with us. It was her favorite game. I'll always remember the look that it had on its face. A small smile, holding her head tightly, ripping out the hair from her scalp. I don't think I'll ever be able to play Ghost in the Graveyard again, I told all of my friends. And yet they didn't believe me.
Thank you for your story, Evelyn. For those of you who don't know, Ghost in the Graveyard is a childhood game, part hide and seek, part tag. The first player to find the ghost shouts, "Ghost in the graveyard," to warn everyone else. And all the players run away from the ghost and return to the home base to avoid getting tagged. Anyone who gets tagged becomes the new ghost. And if the ghost doesn't tag anyone, the last player to get to home base becomes the next ghost. But how do these rules work when you're playing against a real ghost?
Surprise bill? Need fast funds? CashNet USA can help. When you need money fast, be the hero.
Apply in minutes at cashnetusa.com and get a fast decision. All loans subject to lender approval. Speed of funding is subject to verifications and your bank's processing times.
Hi, Michelle. This is Christy from Los Angeles, and I have a ghost story for you. I want to preface by saying, since I was 13, I've had hypnagogic hallucinations. They came on super strong, and I see everything from spiders to shadow people to men outside my window, and this is all upon waking. It has something to do with the chemicals just still kind of being formed upon awakening, and it can kind of be a form of narcolepsy as well. You can kind of have a fringe form of narcolepsy and then have like these hallucinations. So my whole life I've kind of always seen ghosts, quote unquote, because shadow people, people are sitting on my chest when I wake up. All of those things have happened to me. So there's only a couple times in my life where I can't really explain that away. And because I've been doing it my whole life, I really can kind of tell now and they don't scare me as much. But this one kind of scared me. So I was at the Queen Mary for my birthday. It was the night before my birthday, and I had a bunch of family in. And I had been to the Queen Mary before, and side note, went to go ghost hunting with some friends, and we talked to a bus boy who led us into a back entrance, and we ended up in the haunted pool on the Queen Mary. And lo and behold, when we got in there, the crew from Ghost Adventures was there doing a pre-shoot. They weren't shooting at the time, but they were like prepping to shoot and like kind of doing running their own experiments in the pool. So we got to actually ghost hunt with the Ghost Adventures crew in the pool, which was crazy. Did not plan it at all. And then they let us into the like boiler room and down to the like bottom of the ship, which was very scary. And it was all very cool. No ghosts were seen, but it was a super fun adventure. So this time, it was just for my birthday, and we were going to take a ferry out to Catalina Island the next day. So we just wanted to stay really close. Queen Mary, no ghosts in mind this time. So we had a really fun time. Went to dinner, had some drinks, went back to our room. I fell asleep normally, woke up in the middle of the night, and I saw a light above my bed that shot down, bounced off the wall, and went straight underneath the bed and lit up underneath my bed. I mean, this was kind of wild. I have seen light forms before because of my hypnagogic hallucinations, but nothing that dynamic. It's usually just something that has formed from a smoke detector or something like that. So it'll be a ball of light, but it won't actually move and do things. Needless to say, this one is one I cannot explain. And so went back to sleep somehow, went down the next day to talk to the front desk, found out that we were right next to the most haunted room, B340, was 2 doors down from us. And at that time, they weren't letting anybody stay there because it was so active that people would just complain and ask for their money back. So they just blocked it off and wouldn't let anyone stay there. And we were 2 doors down from it. And I guess one of the ghosts, Jackie, plays hide and seek. That's one of her things. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. She was maybe hiding under the bed. I don't know, but it was pretty crazy.
Thank you, Christy, for taking us aboard the Queen Mary, one of the most famous haunted vessels in the world. There's Jackie, who you mentioned, a little girl who lingers near the first-class pool, John Petter, crushed by a watertight door, Senior Second Officer William Eric Stark, who tragically drank dry cleaning fluid, mistaking it for gin, and there's the cook, baked alive by his own kitchen staff during World War II. Yes, really. But the most notorious location on the ship? Stateroom B340. I've heard endless variations over the years. A man who killed his entire family in the cabin. A woman who murdered her husband. A lone traveler who slashed their own throat in the dead of the night. The stories twist and change, but one version has always stuck with me. In the 1960s, just before the Queen Mary retired to Long Beach, a passenger went mad, brutally murdering 2 women. He was locked in a third-class stateroom, possibly B222, B224, or B226, with a guard stationed outside. Hours later, he began screaming that someone was in the room with him. Someone was trying to kill him, and the guards ignored it, thinking it was a trick. By morning, he was silent. When the ship docked in New York, authorities opened the door and they found the man torn apart, limbs and entrails scattered across the cabin. There was no possible way he could have done it himself. Soon after, the hauntings began, and the 3 cabins were combined into one, B340. Today, there's no official records of any murders tied to that room. The ship's log is clean. But something did happen there. Guests have reported blankets being yanked off their body, footsteps pacing while no one's there, knocks on the walls, hangers that rattle without reason. Whatever took place in B340, it left something behind. And it's still not ready to leave.
Hi, this is Cindy Catherine calling from Avon, Indiana. As you know, my birthday's coming up soon on June the 8th, and my last living aunt and uncles from Michigan are here. They're taking my brother and I out, and little Rachel got to go with us, and she got to go shopping, and I bought her a couple of dolls yesterday, and I bought myself some new things, so we had fun, and then she wanted a chocolate cake, and I said, whose birthday is it anyway, Rachel? Yours or mine? I said, I'm going to get myself some things, so I always invite her to go along with the family. We can't get her picture no matter how hard she tries. The cameras that the ghost investigators had malfunctions and she will allow her picture to be taken. But I told Rachel yesterday while we were out this week for her to behave. So this is my paranormal birthday party. She's been with me 4 years now, and she hasn't missed a party since, because she likes chocolate cake, so we're inviting her out again today. Well, anyway, thank you for listening.
Happy birthday, Cindy. For those just tuning in, little Rachel is the ghost of a young girl who died in a fire and followed Cindy home. She's been with her ever since. So light a candle, enjoy the chocolate cake. I'm glad you never forget to set an extra place. Happy birthday, Cindy. That's all we have this week, folks. Do you have a ghost story? Call 701-484-2666. That's 701-484-2666. Or go to tellmeaghoststory.com and leave your story there. Thank you to all the callers who left messages this week. And as always, I'm your host, Michelle Newman, signing off. See you next week.
Cabine.